Broadcasting live from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, this is TBC News. Our top stories tonight. Dr. Samia launches an independent commission of inquiry, issues ultimatum. After 6 reforms demands equal treatment.
Africa has the potential to be the next frontier of global production, commerce, as well as innovation.
Good evening, I'm Kanki Mwegomole. You can also follow us live via our YouTube channel, TBC Online, and also get all the latest news through our Instagram, Facebook, and X pages at TBC Online. President Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan has issued an ultimatum of 3 months to the Independent Commission of Inquiry, which is commissioned to investigate the incidents during and after October 29th general elections 2025 to determine the real cause of the unrest. Here are more details.
At the State House in Dodoma, President Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan officially launches the Independent Commission of Inquiry, shouldered the responsibility to investigate incidents of unrest that occurred during and after the general elections on October 29 this year. While addressing the team, President Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan began by identifying key areas to be looked into by the Commission.
Tume tunaitarajia ikatuangalizie.
This commission, I urge you to analyze for us the real reason behind those disturbances. What exactly was the cause? What was the root of the problem? But when that incident occurred, young people took to the streets to demand their rights. We want to know, what specific rights did these youth feel they were denied, and what made them collectively pour into the streets to demand those rights? As we do this work, let's also examine the statements made by opposition parties, those who said it must ban, there'll be no peace, the election will not happen. What exactly pushed them to make such statements? Also, let's look at the relationship between the party and the Electoral Commission. What was their relationship like during that period, to the point that it led them to say such things? Additionally, let's analyze the role of political parties involved in that conflict, as well as local and international NGOs. We are being told that youth who went out to demand their rights were paid money first, and that is why they entered the streets. That many of them participated because of the money they were given. If that is true, where did the money come from?
Then she outlines time for the commission to officially start its operations.
Wakati nazindua kampeni, niliahidi kwamba ndani ya siku 100.
When I launched the campaign, I promised that within 100 days, I would establish a reconciliation commission to examine the causes of our political problems so we can reconcile and move forward. But after what has happened, we have decided to begin with this commission first and let it complete its work. The recommendations that will come from here, we will implement through the Reconciliation Commission. Therefore, your recommendation will form the agenda of the Reconciliation Commission. As I said, this is not a small task. We will begin with 3 months, and depending on how the work goes, we'll see how to proceed.
President Samia Suluhu Hassan expresses her confidence into the commission.
Jana nilikuwa nasoma article fulani. Wenzetu wapinzani wanasema.
Yesterday, I was reading an article where our colleagues in the opposition said they have no confidence in any internal commission. They want a commission from the UN, the AU, or the European Union to come and conduct the process here in Tanzania. But I have great confidence in your expertise and experience. I truly believe in this commission, and I hope that your recommendations will help move us forward.
The commission is led by the chairman of the commission, retired Chief Justice Mohamed Othman Chande, and 7 other members.
Thank you so much, Teddy Noel Mparanyanga, with that reportage. Meanwhile, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, has appointed Jennifer Omolo as the Permanent Secretary in the President's Office, Youth Development. Prior to the appointment, Omolo served as the Deputy Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance. The announcement was issued today, November 20th, 2025 in Dodoma and signed by the Director of Presidential Communications, Bakari Machumo. In another development, Dr. Kedmon Mapana has been appointed as Deputy Permanent Secretary in the Office of the President, Youth Development. Before his appointment, Dr. Mapana served as the Executive Secretary of the National Arts Council, Basata. Additionally, the statement indicates that the newly appointed leaders will be sworn in tomorrow. The Vice President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Ambassador Dr. Emmanuel Nchimbi, says the rehabilitation of the Tazara railway will boost trade between Zambia and Tanzania, promote agriculture, mining, industry, tourism, and create more jobs for the people of the whole region. The Vice President made the remarks during the groundbreaking ceremony for the major rehabilitation of the Tazara railway held in Lusaka, Zambia, stressing that, apart from Zambia, the move will connect Tanzania with the Democratic Republic of Congo, SADC countries, and the African continent in general.
This is indeed not just an infrastructure upgrade, it is a renewal of a sacred commitment. A revitalized Tazara will strengthen the central and southern corridors, transform trades across Tanzania, Zambia, DRC Congo, Malawi, and SADC, boost imports, export, and transit traffic, support agriculture, mining, industry, and tourism, and create thousands of jobs in our region.
The Vice President adds that while the Tazara railway is being improved, Tanzania continues to enhance efficiency of its ports, including the expansion of the Dar es Salaam port and ensuring the smooth integration of the standard gauge railway SGR with Tazara railway.
Recent inauguration address on 13th Parliament, President Samia reaffirmed Tanzania's commitment to expand the port of Dar es Salaam with new berths, improve efficiency, and ensure smooth connection with SGR and Tazara. Similarly, Tanzania will continue developing the ports of Tanga, Mtwara, and Bagamoyo, ensuring world-class logistics for Zambia, SADC, and Africa at large. The this revitalization also comes at a moment when China is emerging as a major driver of global growth under its 15th five-year plan. This position China as a critical development partner. Just as Tazara was China's first major inroad into African interior, today we have a new opportunity to link the Belt of Road Initiative with SADC development corridors, especially through Benguela, Tazara, coast-to-coast route, and Lobito on the Atlantic to Dar es Salaam and Bagamoyo, the Indian Ocean.
The event was attended by the President of Zambia, Hakainde Hichilema, and the Prime Minister of the People's Republic of China, Li Qiang. In other news, the President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, says African nations, like all nations, are sovereign and must be treated with dignity and respect. Speaking at the conclusion of the B20 summit, which paves the way for the upcoming G20 summit in Johannesburg, Ramaphosa underscored the importance of Africa being equally included in global decision-making platforms and knowledge-sharing spaces. Faida Ngaga reports from Johannesburg, South Africa.
As the work done by the B20 has made clear, Africa has the potential to be the next frontier of global production, commerce, as well as innovation. And we will call on the global community to embrace Africa's rise.
As South Africa prepares to host the G20 summit for the first time on African soil from the 22nd to the 23rd of November, the continent's leaders are using the global spotlight to push for a more equitable world order at the B20 summit in Johannesburg. Calls for respect, inclusion, and genuine partnership dominated the discussions, setting the tone for Africa's message ahead of the G20 gathering.
We were fed the message that You need to have rule of law. You need to embrace values. You need to have good governance. But in recent times, we've seen how those who were trying to teach us those laws and those values are the very ones who are violating all those values, who are destroying those very values. And we ask ourselves, what are we expected to do now? Because yes, we are developing our economies. We are sovereign countries, and we need to be treated as equals. Our sovereignty needs to be respected. We need to sit around the table as equals and having the same share of knowledge, the same share of capability, without any bullying the other, without any.
Furthermore, the President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, emphasized on one of the most fundamental issues worldwide, that is climate change and clean energy transition, stating the need for an increase in financial support for a just and inclusive energy transition in developing economies, but also promoting trade measures that do not restrict fair market access to economies that are still growing.
At the same time, we must be wary of unilateral trade measures that seek to promote cleaner energy, but that further restrict fair market access for economies that are still developing and growing. We need to pursue fair, transparent, multilateral trade agreements that do not punish countries for a climate crisis that they did not create.
As Johannesburg now shifts its focus to the G20 summit, Africa's message stands firm. The continent is ready to contribute, ready to lead, and determined to be heard. Faith Ngaga, TBC News, Johannesburg, South Africa.
Thank you so much, Faith Ngaga. The remains of a Tanzanian student, Joshua Lotu Mollel, who was killed in the October 7th Hamas attacks in Israel while undergoing practical training, has arrived at his home in Manyara after nearly 2 years ahead of his burial in Simanjiro on Thursday. Family, relatives and friends have gathered to pay their last respects, describing the journey to recover his body as long and challenging. Here's a story by Rebecca Misiwa, read by Teddy Mparanyanga.
It is a sad day as family, relatives and friends bid farewell to the remains of Tanzanian student Joshua Mollel, who lost his life on October 7th, 2023 in Israel following a Hamas attack while on practical agricultural training program.
Bwana wetu Yesu Kristo, na tunafanya hivyo kwa jina la Mungu Baba na Mwana na Roho Mtakatifu. Amen.
The father of the deceased expressed his deep sorrow following the loss and the efforts he made to ensure that his son's remains return home.
We have waited for 2 years. We walked in deep darkness. But today, after laying our child to the rest with great honor, I want to thank each one of you for attending this unique and painful funeral. I especially thank God for allowing us to receive the remains of my child's body. So even if I'm asked where his grave is, I can see it with my own eyes. It is great comfort to us as a family.
On the other hand, the government, through the Tanzanian embassy in Israel, explains the steps, cooperation and efforts that were taken to successfully return Joshua's remains to the country.
Tulipata taarifa kutoka ubalozi wetu wa Tanzania mjini.
We received the information from our Tanzanian embassy in Tel Aviv that his body had been found, and it was confirmed through scientific DNA testing that it was indeed him. So the process began to arrange for the transportation of his remains to bring them home to Tanzania. That was completed, and the body arrived yesterday, November 19th, and today, the 20th, we have gathered here for the burial to lay his remains to rest.
we're very satisfied to be able to bring him back to his family, to his village, to all the people who care for him. The challenges were great, but not with the Tanzanian government. We have had a lot of cooperation, and from the moment that we knew that Joshua is actually back, we have arranged everything with the family and with the Embassy of Tanzania in Israel and with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Tanzania to simply bring Joshua home to his final rest.
In the areas where Joshua grew up, his friends expressed how they've been touched by his death, highlighting his friendship spirit and that how they will honor him.
He used it to advise his fellow young people, including all of us here, to work hard in our studies so we can fulfill our dreams. That was the main message he always emphasized it to us. But beside that, he was a very God-fearing person. He used it to guide us in the matters of religious morals. And even at school, we saw that his fellow students at the college described him as a spiritual leader. So he always encouraged us in such matters.
The CEO of Brand South African Nelvin Maggio says many of the negative stereotypes facing African nations today stem from the continent's accelerating progress that he notes has attracted pushback from those seeking to slow Africa's rise on the global stage. As African economies strengthen and regional cooperation deepens, narratives aimed at undermining that momentum has also increased. Speaking in an exclusive interview with TBC News on the sidelines of the B20 summit in Johannesburg, Maggio urged African countries to remain consistent, resilient and united as they pursue their long-term development goals. Faitha Ngaga reports from South Africa.
The B20 South Africa Summit 2025 marks a historic moment as Africa hosts the G20 and B20 presidency for the first time. Held from the 18th to the 20th of November in Johannesburg, South Africa, the summit brings together global business leaders, policymakers, and partners under the theme Inclusive Growth and Shared Prosperity through Global Cooperation.
Africa does not need to reinvent the wheel in some instances. Financial services should help turn the wheel faster towards inclusive economic growth. Now, most of what I have said today is certainly not new. Today's risks demand that technical expertise and balance sheets are accompanied by something more. They demand leadership that is grounded in courage, foresight, and partnerships.
As the culmination of a year of policy dialogue and task force engagement, the summit offers a platform for global conversation, cross-sector collaboration and shared learning, aligning international perspectives with Africa's growing leadership on the world stage.
From a Brand South Africa perspective, we've continued to ensure that we don't just run campaigns on a once-off. Consistency is important in changing perceptions, and consistency is important in ensuring that people get to understand the work that you're doing. So what we've done as an entity, we've specifically focused on 5 key markets. One is the Americas, both North and South, in terms of how we market and position in South Africa. We focused on Europe, which is a very important market for us, and of course with our traditional partners being predominantly within the European Union. We focused on the Gulf region as a region on its own because we believe that there's a lot of capital in the Gulf where we can tap into that market. We focus on the continent itself of Africa because we can't be South African based and forget that we are part of Africa. So we have to ensure that we continue the messaging within the continent.
Yet, even as Africa steps into this historic leadership role, the continent continues to confront persistent negative stereotypes that often overshadow its progress. Leaders at the summit, including Brand South Africa CEO Neville Maggio, argues that these narratives are not accidental. They emerge precisely because Africa's influence is growing, with rising economic cooperation, stronger regional integration, and a more assertive voice in global affairs.
proof has been specifically related to, number one, look at the geopolitics and how this year has panned out. How we've been able to dispel a lot of fake news. And the proof in itself is the countries that are visiting, the heads of state that are visiting South Africa, that can see for themselves directly and sing the praise on the real truth about South Africa. And that has been critical. Number two, so that around the messaging on the truth, that will continue. Because truth is not once off. You know, truth is an ongoing process.
As Africa assumes a more prominent role in global decision-making, leaders say the focus must remain on resilience, unity, and telling the continent's own story. The B20 summit is not just a gathering. It is a statement of Africa's rising power and its determination to shape its future on the world stage. Faida Ngaga, Tbcnews, Johannesburg, South Africa.
It's just one day after President Samia Suluhu Hassan appointed seasoned media leader Bakari Machumu as the new director of presidential communications. With over 20 years of experience in journalism, editorial leadership, and strategic communication, Machumu's journey from the newsroom to the State House is one of the remarkable transformation and national impact. Teddy Mpanyanyanga takes us through his history.
In Tanzania's media landscape, few names carry the weight, consistency, and evolution of Bakari S. Machumu. For more than 27 years, his fingerprints have been on the stories that shaped national conversation and on the transformation of newsrooms navigating the digital age. Machumu's journey began quietly at the desk of Business Times Limited, where a young trainee reporter immersed himself in the rhythm of business journalism. He rose through the ranks as a reporter, editor, newsroom leader, each step sharpening a discipline that would later define his career. His rise to national prominence came at Mwananchi Communications Limited, where for 14 years he led from the heart of the newsroom, first as managing editor of The Citizen, then as executive editor of Mwananchi Communications Limited. In 2020, he assumed the role of Chief Executive Officer, guiding Mwananchi Communications Limited through one of the most disruptive eras in global media. With a steady hand and digital vision, he championed the transformation of the company into Tanzania's first converged print and digital content network. His guiding principle, empowering the nation, became more than a slogan. It became a newsroom, culture, and a national commitment to accessible, quality journalism. But Machumu's influence extends far beyond the boardroom. Through BSM Mosheri Tanzania, the knowledge-based company he founded in 2024, he turned his expertise into a platform for shaping leaders, equipping executives across the public and private sectors with practical skills for effective, ethical leadership in an evolving world. Across the country, his voice has been present in numerous boardrooms and advisory councils. He serves as vice chairman of the Tanzania Editors Forum, a non-executive director at Equity Bank Tanzania, a board member of the Consumer Choice Awards Africa, and patron of the youth-based Mucha Generation International. His past service includes contributions to the Media Council of Tanzania, the Association of Tanzania Employers, Kenya's Inter-Region Economic Network, and the University of Dar es Salaam. His work has earned regional and national recognition, from the Titans Outstanding Media Leadership Award in 2014 to being named one of the Tanzania's 100 change makers in 2023. Today, that journey enters a new chapter. President Samia Suluhu Hassan has appointed Bakari S. Machumu as Director of Presidential Communications. It is a role that sits at the heart of national information flow, where clarity meets responsibility and where communication becomes a tool for trust, transparency, and national unity. This is the story of a journalist, a strategist, and now a national communicator, Bakari S. Machumu.
The United Nations Development Fund says it is committed to continue collaborating with Tanzania in implementing the local climate adaptive living facility phase 2 in Tanzania. Through the program, the government is implementing a climate change resilience and adaptation project worth $11 million in 18 councils in mainland Tanzania and Zanzibar. The commitment was made during a meeting between the Deputy Permanent Secretary in the Vice President's Office, Abdallah Hassan Mitawi, and UNCDF official Damiono Bugno on the sidelines of the 30th Conference of the Parties of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, COP30, currently underway in Belém, Brazil. Furthermore, during the talks, UNCDF has also expressed its interests in collaborating with the government of Tanzania in other areas related to sustainable environmental conservation. The Deputy Permanent Secretary Mitawawi thanked the organization for continued support to the Tanzanian government's efforts in environmental management, especially in coping with the impacts of climate change. Before we wind up our local news tonight, let's take a look at today's exchange rates. Don't miss TBC News every weekday. Sports news is up next. And in sports, KMC head coach Marcio Maximo believes, based on the enthusiasm and spirit of his team, it has a better chance to perform better in the upcoming game against JKT Tanzania tomorrow. Maximo adds that his team does not allow the previous results to be the stumbling block, while JKT Tanzania assistant coach George Mketo says they are determined to get 3 points from the match.
A coach is never happy when he stays below the table. Of course, I'm not different. I'm just optimistic because coaches, not only me, any coach, never give up. You know, you can't give up. So I should motivate my players all the time, not with words, but with actions, with attitude, with formation, with trainings. What you are doing, you know. I'm the last person that give up. You knows me, Tanzania people knows me, long time. So always, I never surrender. All the time I think that next day will be better, we'll fix our mistakes. I hope that.
Before we conclude the local news tonight, let's take a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours.
Hello, dear viewer. Welcome again to the next 24 hours forecast, starting tonight at 9 p.m. From Tanzania Meteorological Authority, my name is Ramadan Omar. Rainfall models are showing signal of rainfall over some areas of our country, and we are expecting a slight enhancement over a few areas, especially over the central, southeastern highland toward southern part of our country. And TMA has issued a warning of period of heavy rain over a few areas of Rukwa, Songwe, Mbeya, Iringa, Njombe, Ruvuma, Singida, Dodoma, and the Morogoro region. So necessary precautions should be taken all those areas. And tonight, over the western part of our country, southwestern highland and the Ruvuma region are expected to feature partly cloudy conditions, thunder showers over a few areas. And the remaining regions are expected to feature partly cloudy conditions. And tomorrow, over the western part of our country, southwestern highland, Ruvuma, and the southern part of Morogoro region are expected to feature cloudy conditions, thunder showers over some areas in sun intervals. While over Lindi and the Mtwara regions, we are expected to feature cloudy conditions, thunder showers over a few areas in sun interval. Areas along Lake Victoria Basin, Singida, Dodoma, and northern part of Morogoro region, we are expecting to feature partly cloudy conditions, thunder showers over a few areas in sun periods. Over the northern coast, we are expecting to feature partly cloudy conditions, rain showers over a few areas in sun periods. In the northeastern highland, we are expecting to feature partly cloudy conditions in sun periods. In terms of wind, we are expecting wind to flow at a speed of 30 kilometers per hour, especially over the coastal areas. and the state of the sea is expected to be moderate. Over Lake Victoria, Rukwa, and Lake Nyasa, wind speed is expected to reach 20 kilometers per hour, while over Lake Tanganyika, wind speed is expected to reach 10 kilometers per hour, and the state of the lakes expected to be slight. And now, let's have a look on the next 4 days of forecast over some regions of our country. In Dar es Salaam, expecting partly cloudy condition, orange showers over a few areas and sun periods. In Dodoma, we're expecting partly cloudy condition, thunder showers over a few areas and sun periods. In the Mbeya region, we're expecting partly cloudy condition, thunder showers over a few areas and sun periods. In the Mwanza region, we're expecting partly cloudy condition, thunder showers over a few areas and sun periods. Over Kilimanjaro, we're expecting partly cloudy condition and sun periods. In Morogoro, we're expecting partly cloudy condition, thunder showers over a few areas and sun periods. And over Arusha, we're expecting partly cloudy condition and sun periods. From Tanzania Meteorological Authority, that is all for today. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
And that marks the end of the news bulletin for tonight. Don't miss our next bulletin in Kiswahili at 11 p.m. On behalf of the whole team, I am Kanki Mwegomole. Good night.